Resourceful Designer, episode 113, Design Discounts, Pros, Cons, and Alternatives.
Welcome to the Resourceful Designer podcast, offering solutions to streamline your graphic and web design business so you can get back to designing. And now, your host. His mom sold her 72 Mustang 2 weeks before he got his driver's license. Mark Dickout.
Welcome to the podcast. Thank you so much for tuning in. Today's topic, I will be talking about design discounts. Should you be offering them? Should you not be offering them? And if not, what sort of alternatives do you have? But before I get to that, I want to share a little story with you. Yesterday, I met with a new client for the first time. Now, that's not the story. Actually, I will be talking about that a little bit later, but that's not the story for now. After that meeting, I had a couple of hours to kill before another meeting. And I was far enough away from home that it just wasn't worth my time to drive all the way back home, only to spend 30 minutes and then have to leave again. So in thinking what I should do during that time, I decided that, maybe I should get a haircut. So I tried calling my regular barber. Now, my regular barber, he cuts my hair. He has a place in his basement where he cuts hair. He's been cutting my hair since I was a teenager. He's now in his 70s and he's still going. So I decided to give him a call. Normally I book an appointment with him, but I called just on the off chance that he had an opening. Well, his answering machine picked up and told me that his business will be closed for a few weeks due to medical reasons. Now, it didn't elaborate, so I don't know if there's something wrong with him or with his family or what, but I wasn't able to get my hair cut. Now, I have a presentation to make next week, and I really, really wanted to get a haircut beforehand. So I decided to go to this barber shop in town. It's a place I've seen before. They have a really nice sign, and that's one of the things that actually caught my eye is I really like the logo and everything they have outside. And they advertise, their tagline is something, I can't remember the exact words, but it's something to the effect of a man's barber shop or something like that. Like the place is geared towards men. So I decided to give it a try. Now, I go in, and the funny thing is when I walk in, everybody working there is a woman. For some reason, I was expecting a man's barbershop to have men cutting hair, but that's okay. So I went in, and it felt a little bit strange because I had been so used to my barber to have him cut my hair. As I said, since I was a teenager, I'm 48 years old now. He's been cutting my hair since I was a teenager. And even though he's 70 years old now and his eyesight isn't as great, and yes, there are times now when I go home and I have to straighten out my bangs because they're not really straight, they're a little crooked, or maybe one of my sideburns is a little bit higher than the other, I still go to him just because he's who I've always gone to. Well, I went into this new barber shop, and this woman sat me down and started cutting my hair. And, we chit-chatted. It was nice. And she cut my hair. She did a really good job. It was different than what I'm used to. Like, she obviously didn't cut it the same way as my other barber, but it was fine. I mean, it's hair. It's just going to grow back. And it's not like she did a bad job. My wife even said that, it looked different, but she liked it. So that's a win. But even then, I felt like I had betrayed my barber. I mean, I did try to reach out to him for an appointment, but he wasn't available, and I had no choice but to go somewhere else. And that got me thinking about our clients. And I hope that my clients feel that way. I have a relationship with my barber. He knows me. We talk about stuff every time. I mean, I grew up going to him, and it was really tough for me going somewhere else. And I hope my clients feel the same way. I hope my clients, if they decide to go to another designer, will feel like that they'll feel like, it really doesn't feel right going to somebody other than Mark. And that's what I strive for. And I hope you strive for too. And it's just that little story. It made me think about my clients and how I relate to them, how I get to know them, the relationships I create, and hoping that one day when they might have an offer from somebody else, they might think to themselves, I can't, I'm loyal to Mark. I really need to stick with him. So that's what we strive for, and I hope you're striving for as well. And that's my little story on my haircut from this week. And now, this week's resource of the week. First of all, before I get to the resource, I just want to say that I received a lot of feedback after I read Sonia's email in last week's resource where I shared Backblaze. If you haven't listened to that episode, you should go back and listen to that episode. But in it, I shared an email from Sonia who lost her computer and her backups in a flood during a hurricane. And then she remembered that because of my podcast, she had signed up for Backblaze, an online backup service, which you can get at resourcefuldesigner.com/Backblaze. And she had signed up. She had actually forgotten she had signed up. And it was once she was reminded, she was able to retrieve all her files that she had lost, including some memories from her sister who had passed. So she was very happy. She reached out to me. Well, since receiving that and talking about it on last week's episode, I've received lots of people online and emails telling me their stories about Backblaze and how, I had a similar situation and one person lost their house in a fire and Backblaze came to the rescue, or just telling me about how Backblaze saved them for one reason or the other. So I think that email that I read from Sonia sure touched a chord with a few people. So thank you for everybody who's reached out for an email or sent me an email or reached out on social media, telling me what they thought of the story and sharing a little bit of theirs. But this week, I chose a different resource, and this one is Google Alerts. Now, I did share this once before. It's been a while since I shared it. But the reason I want to share it is because there's a lot of people who don't know about Google Alerts. Or even if they do, they don't use it to its full potential. Now, if you don't know what this is, you can get to it by visiting google.com/alerts. And you do need to have a Google account, which most people do. And if you don't, it's very easy to sign up. Doesn't cost you anything. But what Google Alerts allows you to do is you create a search, just like you were doing a Google search, but it saves that search and it will email you every time that something comes up in those search parameters. Or I say every time. You can set it up so that it emails you every single time, or you can set up a daily or weekly digest if you want, so that it'll email you maybe once per day for something, or once per week it'll email you all the instances for a certain topic. And I do that for various things, but one of them I do, or actually a few I do, is I do my business name. I have a search for Resourceful Designer. So anytime that anybody mentions Resourceful Designer, I will be notified. I have my name, Mark Decote, as a search. So anytime anybody types in Mark Decote anywhere or writes it on the internet somewhere, as soon as Google finds it, they let me know. And this has helped me out over time. First of all, you can keep track of things. It's nice to know, like when the podcast is mentioned or somebody talks about it or reviews something about the podcast. I love seeing those things. But the reason I wanted to talk about this one is just this week, I was notified, I got a Google alert when somebody had mentioned me by name, Mark Decote, in their blog. And this turns out this is a client that I had designed a logo for several years ago, and I hadn't heard from them since. I knew at the time this was a one-time client. They needed a logo, and that was it. That they said that once the logo was done, they had people that would do the rest of the stuff, but they wanted a logo. So I designed this logo for them. Well, just this week, they had a blog, and on their blog, somebody had left a comment saying, "Oh, by the way, I love your logo. Who did it for you?" And they mentioned me. They said, "Oh, it was a designer by the name of Mark Decote." They didn't link to me or anything like that. They just mentioned me by name. And Google caught that. I got a Google alert with a link to that blog post, and I found where my name was. And I thanked them for mentioning me. That was it. In the comments, they had mentioned it to somebody, and I replied to that comment on their blog, and I just said, "Oh, thank you very much for mentioning me. Yeah, this was a fun project I worked on. I enjoyed designing that logo." Now, I don't know if anything will come of that, but that just put me front of mind of the person, my old client. They might not have thought about me for years since I designed the logo. Yes, they mentioned my name in passing because somebody asked who designed the logo, and they just mentioned my name. But the fact that then I replied to them, thanking them for that, it's one of those things where you might mention somebody, but all of a sudden, if that person mentions you back or responds, then it's like, oh, wow, now they remember. And who knows? Maybe this person now will think of something that they have to reach out to me. Maybe not. Maybe they don't have any jobs for me or anything like that. But maybe they'll be more inclined to mention me again if somebody's talking about design. In this case, somebody asked particularly about who designed that logo. Well, maybe next time if somebody asks them just who would you recommend for design, they might mention me. So I've done lots of little things like that over the years. Anytime I see somebody mention Resourceful Designer, I try to reach out to them and thank them, especially if it's good, if they mentioned it in a positive manner, I'll reach out to them. And I've had people get back to me. It's like, oh, wow, I'd never expected to hear from you, or what an honor. And I don't know what the honor is, but that's the way people respond. So, and all of this, just because I set up a Google alert to notify me anytime these certain terms show up on the internet. So I suggest you set these up for your name, for your business name, for anything that you want to be kept track of. If you're part of an association and you want to know anytime that anybody mentions that, or even if you have a hobby and you want to be notified anytime a new blog post or a new article comes up for that hobby, you can be notified. I have a weekly notification for anything that has graphic design in it. And trust me, there's a lot of things. When I get that one, I have to scroll through. There's a lot of articles, but I'll quickly glance to see if there's anything that catches my eye. So that's this week's resource of the week, setting up Google alerts. And you get to them by first having a Google account. And if you don't have one, very easy to sign up. And then you just visit google.com/alerts. And then you can set up as many as you want. It's all free of charge. And now today's topic, design discounts, pros, cons, and alternatives. Now, I'm going to be honest right up front. I am not a fan of offering discounts for design services. And from what I can tell, I'm not alone. In preparing for this episode, like I do for most episodes, I'll look up different articles online and just see what other people have to say before I talk on a topic. And almost every article that I read about design discounts or offering a discount for your design services said the same thing, that if you offer a discount, what you actually doing is you're lessening your perceived value, or the perceived value of you, of your services, and your overall brand, and that offering a discount could potentially hurt your business in the long run. They almost all said that, and I fully agree. It's a case of, if you tell somebody, oh, I'll give you a 15 or 20% discount off your logo or your design or whatever you're doing, your website, then they start wondering, well, what makes now a 20% discount available now? Why isn't it available next time I need something from you? Like, why can't I just always get a discount? And the thing is how do you answer that? If they actually come out and ask you, how do you answer that? Why can't they get a discount all the time? What's the purpose of offering a discount? Are you losing money in order to get them in as a client, hoping that you're going to get more work from them in the future? That's a big gamble if that's what you're playing at. But the true answer to why they can't always get a discount is they can if you really wanted. But you're not offering the discount because you like making money. And that's why your prices are set where they are. And you know what? There's nothing wrong with wanting to make money. In fact, most designers don't charge enough for their services. They're not making the money they could potentially make. So if they're not making the money they could potentially make, why should they be offering an additional discount on top of that? So offering a discount especially to try to win over new clients, is a real bad idea, in my opinion. And it's definitely not a good foundation to build a relationship on. However, there are times when maybe offering a discount is a good idea. A time when it may actually, instead of diminishing your perceived value, it can actually strengthen it and strengthen your brand. Now, I came up with 6 times when you may want to offer a design discount. And I'll go over them before I'll talk about when you shouldn't and some alternatives that you can offer instead of discounts. Now, number 1 of when you could offer a discount is if you are offered a discount, you can pass it on to your clients. Anytime you do something like this, all it does is increase the loyalty towards you. As opposed to offering a discount to your services, what you're doing is saving your clients money and giving them a bonus value from you. And what I'm talking here is stuff like, I don't know, domain names, maybe web hosting, or anything you get from a supplier. Like, for example, whenever I do t-shirts for a client, well, I'm going to mark up. I've got a supplier for t-shirts, and then I send them to a screen printer. Well, the t-shirts that I buy, I might buy the t-shirts for, say, $2 a piece, and I'm going to sell them to my clients. I'll tell them they're $3 a piece. So I'm making $1 per t-shirt just on the purchase of the t-shirt itself. But every once in a while, my supplier will have a sale on certain brands of t-shirts. Well, if I'm going to buy a t-shirt from or for a client, and it just so happens that instead of paying $2 for that t-shirt, they're on sale now for $1.50 per t-shirt. Yes, I can opt to save the extra 50 cents as a bonus to me, an extra profit in my pocket, or I can choose to pass that on to the client and tell the client whenever it's time to invoice them, oh, by the way, I quoted you at, and of course I'm marking it up still. So I would say, I'm quoting you at $3 a shirt. So when I went to order the shirts, my supplier was offering a 50-cent discount. So instead of the price I quoted you at $3 per shirt, they're only $2.50. And you know what? Your clients will appreciate that because they know you could have just said, no, it's $3 a shirt and kept the money yourself. So they will appreciate it, and it helps build that loyalty towards you. They're going to go next time. It's like, wow, Mark offered me that discount. Maybe the next time I need shirts or something, I make sure I go to Mark. And you can do the same thing with printing, with web hosting, with domain names. I do that with domain names all the time. My company that I use for domain names, which is namespro.ca, whenever I buy a domain from them, with taxes, it comes up to like $13 and some odd cents. And I charge my clients $15 for a domain name. So I make $1 something on a domain name. I'm not doing it to make money. It's easy registration. And yes, I register myself as the admin and I put them down as the owner of the domain. But every once in a while, my company will offer a sale where you can get, say I'm in Canada. Well, they might offer a sale saying all.ca, which is for Canada, all.ca domain names will be 99 cents for the next week or two. Well, if it just so happens that I'm ordering a domain name for a client during that time, I will often tell the client, it's like, wow, we got a bonus. The domain name was only $1 instead of $15. And it's only, a $14 bonus? But the clients appreciate that sort of thing. So anytime you get a discount from whatever, you do have the option of saving the extra money that you're charging your clients for yourself, or you can actually pass that discount on to your client and build that relationship, build that loyalty from them. Now, the second way I have on my list that you could or might decide to offer a discount is anything that has to do with recurring revenue. And that would be good for things like maybe web maintenance. If you have a maintenance plan and you offer a monthly fee, like whatever, you're going to charge them so much per month. Well, offer a discount if they purchase the entire year. That could be you get 1 month free if you buy the whole year, or save 10% if you buy for the entire year. I mean, you see these sort of deals all the time. Now, yes, this is a discount, but in a way, it's more incentive for you. Because, for example, if you charge $10 a month, $10 a month for maintenance is ridiculous. You shouldn't be charging that little, but I'm using that number as an example. If you were charging $10 a month, at the end of the year, you would have collected $120 from your clients, $10 at a time, if you were billing them monthly. However, you might offer a discount saying get 2 months free if you pay for the year, in which case your client pays you $100. Now, in the long run, it does work out better to collect monthly, but I don't know about you. Most people would much rather get $100 now than think they're going to get $10 a month for the next 12 months. There's a lot more things I can do with $100 right now to pay off, to use for various reasons. It can go a lot farther right now than $10 per month, because chances are I'm not going to gather and keep that $10 every month and then at the end of the year have $120 to spend on something. I'll end up using that $10 as I go. I mean, it's the same mentality as anybody who wins one of those lotteries that pays off a lot over time. In Ontario here in Canada, there's a lottery called Cash for Life. And if you win it, it gives you $1,000 per week for what they say life, but in reality, life is 25 years. So they would pay you $1,000 per week for 25 years. At the end of 25 years, you will have collected $1.3 million. But you also have the option of right off the bat, when you win, you can say, I'm going to forego the $1,000 per week and I'll take $675,000 right now. And most people, that's what they opt for. because they think I can do a lot more with $675,000 right now than I can with $1,000 a week for 25 years. And it's true. It's that mentality. So anytime you have some sort of monthly or recurring fee like that, offering them a discount for multiple purchases might be a good idea. More incentive for the client as well, because they save a little bit of money. It could be a monthly fee. It could be yearly. Maybe you sell hosting. I sell my website hosting on a yearly basis. I tell them it's a monthly fee, but they have to pay me by the year. Well, if a client comes and they want to buy 5 years in advance, I might consider offering them a discount just because of that. Now, another part of recurring revenue might be a retainer. If you have a client on retainer, a retainer sometimes is a discount for your regular services. That's one of the incentives of a retainer. Like you might say to a client, I charge $150 an hour for design, but if you're on retainer, it's only going to cost you $100 an hour per design, whether they use it or not. And sometimes that's how you get clients on a retainer, is the incentive of that discount. If they pay in advance, they pay a regular retainer every month, they'll pay you several $100s or whatever in the hopes that they will get X amount of design or whatever work you agree for that retainer. But the purpose of the retainer is for them to save money. Otherwise, they would just hire you whenever they needed you. And it might be on a monthly basis. So that's often why you would offer a retainer, is to get that recurring revenue. And the incentive for the client is the discount by paying it as a retainer. Now, another way to offer a discount for a retainer is whenever, most retainers are set for a certain period. So you would say you're on a retainer for 1 year. Well, when the year is coming to an end, you can offer your client a discount that, I don't know, say save 10% or save 5% if you renew now, like before your retainer thing expires, or if you renew like 2 months before it expires. If you renew now, then you save even at just 5%. And if it was something, if they're happy with your services, they're going to continue and they'll take advantage of that 5%. And that way, you've locked in that client. There's no way they're going to say, well, the retainer period's coming to an end, that contract's over, maybe we shouldn't renew. By offering them a discount and giving them time to think about it, or not giving them time to think about it a couple of months in advance. You say, like, if you've got 2 months left, well, if you renew before the end of this month, you get this discount. And that might be enough incentive for them to pay you for another year. Now, the third thing I'm going to mention is print orders and the way you can offer discounts, especially if you're brokering. This is a great way to offer discounts. Now, I say discounts, but in reality, this isn't a discount, but your clients may see it as a discount. And that's by ordering multiple items at once. Because when you order multiple items, it often results in cheaper printing costs. And that's just the way printing works. So anytime I have a client that calls me up and says, oh, Mark, we have a new sales rep and they need 1,000 business cards. Can we order 1,000 business cards for them? I'll say, sure, we can order 1,000 business cards. Is there anybody else? Do any of your other sales reps require business cards as well? Because the more you order, the cheaper they are. And then they'll go, oh, great. And then they'll look around and they say, oh yeah, Sally needs new cards, Bill needs new cards, John needs new cards. And there. So now all of a sudden, instead of 1 order of business cards, I have 4 orders of business cards put through. I now make the extra money from print brokering on that deal, but my client saves money. They get a discount because, for example, say 1,000 cards was $100. I don't know. I didn't look up my actual fee, but say it's $100 for 1,000 cards. But now they're ordering 4,000 cards because they've got 4 people ordering 1,000 cards, and it might work out to $80 per 1,000. So they're saving money because the printer is charging me less. So that's a great way. Now, if you want to know more about print brokering, I did an entire episode back in episode 49, resourcefuldesigner.com/episode 49, which was titled Print Brokering to Supplement Your Graphic Design Business. Now, just as a bonus tip or trick here, I have an online supplier, actually a few online suppliers that for some reason, a couple of years ago, they used to do stuff like business cards and flyers. Whenever you'd look at quantities, they would have quantities starting like 500, 1,000, 2,000, 3,000, 5,000, 8,000, 10,000, and stuff like that. And then a few years ago, they changed their quantities, and now it's 500, 1,000, 2,500, 5,000, 7,500, 10,000. So a lot of these places you can't go in. Like if you want 6,000 cards or 6,000 flyers, you have two choices. You either order 5,000 plus another 1,000, which would actually end up costing you more than ordering 7,500 and getting 1,500 extra flyers or extra business cards or whatever. It's actually cheaper to order the larger quantity in that case. Well, what I do often is if my client will call and say, well, we need 2,000 business cards or 2,000 flyers, I will quote them for 2,000 flyers, but I will give them the price for the 2,500 because that's what I get from my supplier. I have to buy 2,500. Now, I could go in and remove 500 from the order whenever it's time to give it to my clients and they'd be none the wiser. But what am I going to do with 500? I'm just going to throw them in the recycling and that's a waste. So instead, I will deliver them to my client and say, here, I know you ordered 2,000, but here's 2,500 for the same price. I don't have to explain why or what to my client. My client will just go, wow, I just got an extra 25% bonus on the order because I wanted 2,000 and now I've got 25. And they're going to appreciate it and they're going to like me more because of it. Now, another time that you might want to offer discounts, or maybe I shouldn't say might want to, a time you should possibly offer a discount is if you are designing something for a reseller. Similar to my print brokering that I mentioned in that episode 49, when I do print brokering, I charge my clients the exact same price that they would pay if they went directly to the printer. Well, I'm talking local printers here. My printers then invoice me with a 15% discount. So the money I make is in exchange. My clients pay me the full amount, and then I pay the printer minus 15% that I keep. Well, if you're doing design work for somebody who's a reseller, you can do the exact same thing where you can tell them, I'll offer you a 15% discount, and then they can turn around and sell, well, for whatever price they want. They can sell it for the same price that you would normally. If they want to mark it up higher, that's their prerogative. But doing something like that can often lead to a lot of work. There was a client that I had years ago that's exactly what I did. He was running a certain type of shop that required logos, and most of the clients that gave him a logo, the logo wasn't suitable. This was for engraving, and he often needed just a black and white logo, and he didn't have the software or he didn't want to do it. So anytime somebody brought him a logo that wasn't suitable for engraving, he would send me the logo. I would convert it or do whatever I needed to do and send it back to him. And that was it. And I was charging him a discounted rate for doing that because he was sending them to me on a regular basis. Now, I don't do that for him anymore. He retired and closed up shop, so that's too bad. But that was a nice little bit that was coming in. I wasn't making a lot of money on it because most of the logos were very easy to do. Sometimes it was just a matter of opening up in Photoshop, adjusting the levels, flattening it, and sending it back to him. And I was charging him by my time, but it added up over time. And this was when I first started, so I was doing everything by the hour back then, and it was extra work. So anytime you have a client that might be a reseller of some sort, you should probably be offering them a discount. And that'll encourage them to send more work your way. Now, this one that I want to talk about next is maybe a little bit more controversial. And this is, you should offer a discount when the client merits it. Now, I know I said at the beginning that I am not a fan of discounts. I don't think it's a good idea. But every once in a while, something comes up and it just makes sense to offer your client a discount. Now, I mentioned at the beginning of the podcast when I started telling you my haircut story that I went for my haircut after meeting a client. Well, that client, and the funny thing is that meeting with the client is what inspired this entire episode, the topic. I had a different topic I was going to mention this week or talk about this week that I decided to save till next week. And I wanted to talk about this week. And it's just offering a discount to a client when they merit it. Now, yesterday, I went to meet with a new client for the first time. They wanted a new logo. And we had talked a few times on the phone. They had discussed their business and saying that they wanted a logo designed for their business. They already had a logo, but they didn't like it. It was something that was designed a while back, and they didn't like it. This is an established business, and they wanted not necessarily, well, I guess it is a rebrand, but they just wanted something updated. Now, as part of my discovery and all that, I decided I wanted to go visit them in person. I had already talked to them on the phone, but I wanted to go see this place, their place of business. I wanted to go meet them face to face. and get to know them in person. So I went down there yesterday and I spent about an hour at this studio. I'll tell you, it's a beauty spa type. They offer massage and aesthetics and stuff. So it's a beauty spa. And I went down and talked to the owner, the woman, very nice lady. And she showed me how they're expanding. They just purchased the spot next door to them, or renting the spot next door, I should say. And they're expanding. They're doubling the size, their floor space. And she showed me that they've already got the colors chosen for the new place, and they're redoing the old section as well. So she showed me all the color palette they're going to be using. And I saw some of the decor they have in the place and just the way they decorate. And as I was talking to her, as I was looking around, as I looked at the color palette, like any good designer, I started having ideas in my head on what direction this logo might take. And by the end of the conversation, I had come up with a good idea of what I wanted to try for a logo. And I thought this would suit this place. This idea that I had in my head would really suit this place. It was at this point that this woman, the owner of this studio, she pulled out a sheet of paper and says, this is what we had in mind, but we wanted somebody, we wanted to hire a professional to do something, but here's the idea we had. And she handed me a sheet of paper that, I couldn't believe it, had a very, very rough drawing of the exact idea I had in my head. To be honest, I was startled. And when I looked at it, I even told her, I says, well, I explained to her that as a designer, I'm always thinking of stuff. And when she showed me that sheet, I was surprised because that's exactly what I had envisioned in my head. I mean, it was very rough. Yes, I'm going to have to do a lot of work to clean it up and make it a professional idea. But she had most of the basis for one of the ideas and what I think is going to be the perfect idea for them. And the thing is I have a couple of other ideas, but they're all kind of based along that same principle. And she agreed that that's what they envisioned and they thought it would suit that place as well. So I told her at the end of the conversation, she hired me, and this was before we even discussed price. She hired me to do it, and we hadn't even discussed what it would cost. And then I told her that normally when I do a logo design, my base price to start a logo design is around $800. But I told her, since I would feel real bad charging her $800 to design exactly what she had come up with, I gave her a discount. So I'm doing that logo for $400 for her, because the idea I have is already her idea. Now, you could argue that, well, maybe you should come up with some different ideas, but it was just so strange that in my mind, I had already designed the perfect logo for this place, and she had the exact same thing. So at that point, I felt like, she merits a discount in this case. And I rarely ever give a discount, but I told her I would do the logo at 50% off. Because also I do know that during our conversation, before we got to price and all that, and before she even showed me her design on the logo, we had talked about all the different things. This is more than just a logo. She called me up because she needed a logo, but once we sat down and talked, she wants the entire brand package. So we're going to do everything, and she wants consistency across all her advertising. So I'm going to be picking up a lot of work here. So I didn't feel bad offering a discount as far as my pocketbook goes, because I know there's going to be a lot more work, but it's just, wow, I was just flabbergasted about how close her design matched what I had in my head. So I offered her a discount. So that's what I meant by sometimes a client merits a discount. And then the last thing I want to talk about kind of ties in with that last one I just talked about. And that's just simply when you feel like giving a discount. And that could be for whatever reasons. Maybe you want to give a discount as a special gift. Maybe you have a client that you design a lot of stuff for, and that client's, maybe their daughter or their son are getting married, and they ask you if you do wedding invitations. Well, you do a lot of work for this client and their business, and now they're asking you to do a wedding invitation. You might be inclined to say, like, this is a special thank you. I'm going to do the wedding invitation at a discounted price as a thank you because of all the work you give me. So in those cases, when you feel like giving a discount, kind of paying back, it's okay. What I don't agree with is when you offer a discount as a kind of an umbrella deal, like, here's 15% off to all new clients. That's the sort of discount I say no. But on a one-on-one basis, when you decide, Maybe there's somebody wants you to design something for a special cause and they don't ask for a discount. They just come to you because they know you're a good designer and they know you're going to do a good job. And you start hearing them about their cause and you think, wow, this is a great idea. I'm going to offer you a discount. I've done this for one charity. There's a local, not a charity, but a local organization in town here that years ago, when they explained to me what they did, I was moved by what they do. And I decided that I would offer them my design services. I told them I will charge you for 1 hour of design and at my regular 1 hour rate. And it doesn't matter how long it takes me to design it. I will only bill you for 1 hour. And they took me up and I've been doing that for them every year since. And I'm happy to do it. So that's somebody that I offered a discount for because I felt it was required. I have another client that I've been designing stuff for years and years and years. Actually, I've mentioned her before on the podcast. She runs part of the business development center in the town or in the city or next to where I live. So her job is helping people who are starting a brand new business. And often when those people need design works, she will refer them to me. And I've picked up many clients over the years because she has referred people to me. Well, she also owns a dance studio. She's a dance instructor. She owns her own studio. And as kind of a thank you to her, every year I design their yearly recital. They always have a different theme for the recital. Well, I'll design the logo for the recital free of charge. Now, those are not logos that are going to persist or represent a brand. These are just kind of fun little things. Like they'll put a theme to something like this year's theme. She contacted me a couple of weeks ago saying this year's theme is, I wrote it down. I think it's disco dancing. So I have to do a fun design that's going to say something to do with disco dancing. So I have fun designing them. I get to experiment because she has absolutely no say. I'm giving her these designs free of charge. So she takes whatever I give her. So every year I get this opportunity to do whatever I want on a project. And I give it to her free of charge because all the work that she sends my way through these other businesses more than makes up for the amount of time that I'm spending doing this for her. So that's the last point I have about when you might want to have a discount, is simply when you feel like giving a discount. If there's a certain charity that you really like, maybe you're very close to your church and you want to do some work for them, it's okay to offer discounts in those situations. Now, I did say that this is when to, when not, an alternative. So now, when not to offer a discount. And again, this is just my opinion. I'm not telling you that you shouldn't. If you want to, that's completely up to you. But in my opinion, these are a few times when you shouldn't offer a discount. The first one is, I hope it's obvious, but if a client asks for a discount, I do not give them one. I will never offer a discount for anybody who asks for one. And I know I'm being a little bit two-faced here because I'll be honest, I'm the type of person, my mom was a haggler. My mom would haggle prices down everywhere. And I used to go shopping a lot. When I was young, my mom would drag me around shopping everywhere. And I don't think there was ever a store that she went into that she didn't try to get a discount out of them. It was just the type of person she was. So I kind of inherited that a little bit. And I will often, if I'm going down somewhere, and especially like if I go to a flea market, I refuse to pay regular price at a flea market. If I go to a garage sale, I refuse to pay regular price. If somebody has something, they say, this is the price, I'll haggle them or I won't buy it. And that's just part of the fun of it. But I've done it before at stores, not big brand stores, but if they're like family owned stores, I'll sometimes ask, it's like, is this the best price? Or do you have any sort of discounts on this? So I'm not afraid to ask for a discount, but I also don't mind if the person says, no, there's no discount. Okay, then I'll buy it at that price. Except for, as I said, the flea markets and the garage sales, I just do it more for fun. Not that I go to those things very often, but whenever I do, I always try to get a deal out of them. But flip it around, and anybody that asks me for a discount automatically is a no. I will tell you that you deserve a discount. I don't want you to tell me that you deserve a discount. But I'm also not insulted that they ask. And the thing is if the client then threatens to leave or says, well, your prices are too high, I'm going to go somewhere else, so be it. I know what I'm worth. This is the price. If you're not willing, if you're looking for a discount because you can't afford me normally, then you can't afford me now. And I know it's just going to be problematic going forward, especially if you offer a discount this one time, then I know I'll never be able to charge full price to that person. They're always going to expect the discount. So I will never offer a discount to anybody who offers it or asks for it. Now, another time that you should not be offering a discount is for anything that requires additional design services from you, such as don't offer a discount if you design somebody's logo and business card and then say, well, I'll give you a discount if I also design the letterheads. That to me is pointless. Everything you do is worth a certain amount, and there's no reason for you to offer discounts on additional services. If your client wants them, they're going to ask for them and they're going to pay for them. All you're doing by offering a discount on additional services is, once again, diminishing your perceived value. Not that just that, but at that point, you're positioning your business as a discount design service. If you just come out and offer them and say, well, I'm designing your logo. Do you need business cards? And they say, yeah, business card would be great. Well, if I do the logos and the business cards, then I can offer you a discount on letterheads and envelopes or on flyers or something like that. As soon as you do that, you're a discount design firm and you can never get out of that. Once people start seeing you as a discount design firm, you will never land the big clients and you will never, or very, very difficult to dig yourself out of that rut. Every service you have, every service you offer is worth a certain amount. That's the amount you should be charging. So anytime that you offer a discount for additional or package deals, I don't believe in package deals. If they buy 2 services, they get a discount, or 3 services or 4 services. I never believe in any of that stuff. Everything to me should be a la carte. If they want business cards, then they're going to pay for business cards. If they want flyers, they pay for flyers. If they want a website, then they're paying for a website. If they want social media imagery to relate to the website, they're paying separately for that. No discounts for any of it. Now, the last part I want to talk about not offering a discount is if you do different services and you offer discounts, or this might not really be a discount, but just different rates for different services. And this is something that I don't believe in. I remember a designer years ago telling me that he would charge a certain amount. He was doing everything by the hour, and he had a certain price anytime he was designing something. But if he was doing some other work, like say he was doing page layout, he had a different hourly rate. If he was doing photo retouching, he had a different hourly rate. And I asked him, like, why are you doing this? And in his mind, he says, well, I'm most valuable as a creative. So that's why I charge more whenever I'm creating, I'm being creative. Some of this stuff, like touching up a photo, doesn't really require much creativity, so I shouldn't be charging as much. Or if he's formatting a book, like say he has a 200-page book and all he's doing is going through making sure that the headings are bolded and stuff like that. He says, that really is just mundane work. I shouldn't be charging my full rate for that. And I am totally opposed to that method of pricing. You are worth so much for your time. It doesn't matter what you're doing during that time. You could be designing, you could be talking to somebody on the phone. If you charge for consultation, like when I meet with a client, that's part of my time. If I meet with a client for half an hour, that's part of my billable time. And I bill them the exact same rate during that meeting as if I was designing for them. And that's what I believe you should be doing. None of this different services are different rates. Not to mention it becomes a real nightmare at the end trying to invoice or keep track of everything. Because at what point does something become this rate and something becomes that rate? It's just too much trouble. You're worth what you're worth, and that's what you should be charging. So those are the things that I don't think you should be offering a discount on. Now, there are alternatives you can do if you don't believe in discounts like I do. There are a few things you can do, like maybe loyalty or referral incentives. I don't offer a referral plan such as, refer a client to me and you'll receive this, or you'll get a gift, or you'll get a discount. Some people will do that. Well, if you refer a client to me, then I'll give you a 15% discount off your next invoice or that. I never do anything like that. But what I will do is do referral or loyalty incentives. And that is, if you refer something to me, you're not going to get a discount off your next invoice, but I might give you a gift card to whatever, a local restaurant or something. Or if you refer a client to me, I might, who knows, I might take you out for dinner, or depending on what the price is, or I'll buy you a movie ticket or something. So it's more of an incentive than it is a discount or something. And usually it's not something that I have set down. It's if I feel like it. I don't have a program where for every referral you get a gift card. No, I don't believe in that sort of thing, at least not for the design industry. But I will say if a client keeps referring, and there are some clients where whenever I hear from somebody new, I'll say, how did you hear about me? And they'll say, oh, so-and-so referred me. And then the next person says that same person referred him. Well, after a while, I got to thank that person somehow. So a lot of times these sort of incentives, I sent something to a client not that long ago. I sent him a $100 gift card for a nice restaurant in town. And I just told him, I says, thank you so much. You know, I've heard from a number of clients that you referred to me. Not all of them worked out. I did start working, and I tell them which ones I started working with them. Unfortunately, there's a couple of others that didn't work out, but I do appreciate it. Here's a little gift for you. Why don't you take your wife out for a nice dinner? And you know what? That sort of thing goes a lot longer, a lot farther than having a program up front saying, for every client you refer, you'll get this gift. Because anytime you set that up, then it becomes about the client. The client is referring somebody knowing they're going to get this gift. If you do it yourself as a thank you to them, then it just builds that loyalty. It builds that relationship, and you become much closer. That person now, they've already been referring you. Now they become an ambassador for you. They are grateful that you acknowledged what they were doing, that now they're going to do it even more so and more deeply. So any sort of loyalty or referral programs, I wouldn't set something up in advance. I would just follow up afterwards when you need to. And I don't do it for every client I get a referral from. But if I hear enough, or if it's a huge client, really big client, what's $50, $100 on a $10,000 job? And your client will appreciate it. Now, another alternative to offering a discount is just simply going above and beyond what you offered to your client. I'll sometimes do this. I'll design a website for a client, and 6 months down the road, I decide there's one not too long ago. I found a new plugin for something. And this was a plugin I had first discovered while I was doing one website for a client, and I installed it on their site. And then while I was doing another website about 6 months, maybe 8 months later, I discovered another plugin that I liked even better, and it offered more options for the client. So the first client never asked me, but I went in and I changed their website. I switched out the plugin to the new service, and I told them about it, and I didn't charge them for that. And it makes their website better, but they had already paid me to design the website. And the client said as much. It's like, wow, it's like, we already paid you. We were happy with the website. Now it's like, amazing. This is great. And it's so unexpected. And that's what's great about it. When it's unexpected, it becomes memorable, and your clients will acknowledge it by referring you, by becoming more loyal. So those are a couple of alternatives you can do. So whatever you think about discounts, whether you offer them or not, this again was my opinion. And this topic may be controversial. Maybe discounts work great and you're growing your business because of discounts. This is my opinion. I don't believe in discounts. There are certain times, like I shared, where a discount may be advisable. But for a general rule, I don't think discounts should be used in design services. But I would love to know your thoughts. Do you offer discounts? Do you believe in discounts? Or do you never offer a discount? Leave me a comment by visiting resourcefuldesigner.com/episode 113. I'd love to know. Now, this episode is running a little bit long, and I actually have a project to get back to. So I'm going to skip the question of the week. I do have a couple of questions in the can that I need to answer, but I'm going to save this one that I had here for next week. But just because I have a couple here doesn't mean I'm not looking for yours. If you have a question you would like me to answer in a future episode of the podcast, please visit resourcefuldesigner.com/feedback and fill out that form with your question. Now, before I go, I will share with you another great iTunes review that I received. This one's from Sweden, and it came in from Franska, and says, very good resource for any graphic designer. I love the Resourceful Designer podcast. It's a great podcast for any graphic designer. Mark shares tips and tricks of the trade, and the whole ambiance is really friendly and human. Also, the sound quality is excellent, which makes it very pleasant to listen to. Well, thank you very much for that lovely review. And as far as the sound quality goes, well, you could thank Justin, my editor, for that. He's the one that takes care of the sound. I just record and send it to him. So he's doing an excellent job on the podcast, making it sound great. So thank you very much from that review. I believe that was the second one that I've received from Sweden. So I love getting these reviews from all over the world. It's always fun to hear what people are saying about the podcast. Now, before I go, I just want to thank Joshua for being an art director level Patreon supporter of Resourceful Designer. He, along with all the other patrons, will soon be getting some special content just for them. I'm slowly putting some stuff together that I will be sharing with all my patron members that will only be available through a special feed. So it'll be similar to the podcast, but it'll be a special feed that only they will have and listen to this bonus content. So thank you, Joshua, and everybody else who is a patron member. Now, if you would like to be a patron and help support Resourceful Designer, you can do so for as little as $1 a month, but check out the other levels with all the rewards that are offered there. And you can do so by visiting resourcefuldesigner.com/Patreon. That's Patreon. And don't forget to check out Google Alerts if you don't already use them. Great way to be notified about your business, about your name, about anything you want. You just set up the search parameters just like you were doing a Google search. But Google will email you the results anytime anything new shows up with that search parameter. So that's it for this week's episode. Until next time, I am Mark DeCote, wishing you all the best with your graphic design business and reminding you to stay creative.
Thanks for listening to the Resourceful Designer podcast at resourcefuldesigner.com.